Welcome to Path to Peace with Todd Perlmutter. I'm your host, Todd Perlmutter. Our world is a projection of our collective consciousness. The more peace we bring into our lives, the more peace we bring into this world. So let the transformation begin. True freedom does not come from governments, which may grant rights, but which can also take them away. It doesn't come from the freedom to choose between 37 different brands of peanut butter. Anything we think of as freedom that arises from our relationship with something outside of us can never be freedom. It's only a negotiation, an agreement of cooperation dependent on a mutual social contract. True freedom can only come from the mind. This is our domain, where we reign supreme, if we're lucky, if we deconditioned ourselves from how the world wants us to think. As long as it is in constant reaction to the outside world, we will always be like a mouse in a maze, looking for cheese, trying to avoid those electrical shocks. Whatever is going on in other people's minds, in the collective consciousness of society, that is their business. But your mind is your business. And spirituality is your mind. It is the totality of your mind, not the physical brain, which mental health focuses on. But the mind is the non-physical quality of the experience we have through our lives. It's not just about our thoughts, our feelings, or our social well-being. It's not about functioning or managing. It's about thriving. It's not about stress reduction. It's about overwhelming peace and joy. It's not about the ability to interact with others and build relationships. It's about love and compassion. And it's not about the nature of our thoughts. It's about the nature of our focus, where we are putting our attention, how long we can keep it there, and how much control we have over our focus. Because at the end of the day, all of this mental health stuff comes down to the root cause being the nature of our conscious awareness. This is the root of who we are. Consciousness gave life to the universe and life to these bodies. When we expand our consciousness, we understand the effect that our words and actions will have. We become aware of the harm we can cause or the help we can offer. We understand the causes of the situations we find ourselves in, not just seeing the symptoms, the end result. And we can stop creating the conditions that lead to suffering. And we can create the causes and conditions for peace, joy, and loving relationships, especially with ourselves, where all relationships begin. It's very tempting as we do this incredible spiritual work to want to fix others, to control them, to make them like us, to make them see the light like we have seen it. But we must fix this in ourselves. If someone had tried to control us, to fix us, we would resist. We would get angry. We had to come to this path on our own. Nobody wants to be told, sit down and meditate. Just sit down and meditate. Give up all your favorite stuff and just do the most boring thing you could possibly imagine. And so we must recognize this desire to look outward instead of inward and see that we haven't made as much progress as we actually think we have, and that we were in those other people's shoes not long ago. And the best way we can fix others is to fix ourselves, to be an example of what this spiritual path can be, to find that deep peace and joy with what is, not with what we want it to be, but with what reality actually is. With the chaos and the negativity and the cruelty all around us, and we are still a beacon of peace and joy. And being that example, that will bring people over to the light side, the forces of good and kindness. Never through domination or force. That will only alienate others, make them put on a fake show for us in person and then speak ill or the opposite when they're alone or with others. It can be tempting to blame others for our bad moods, our anger, our discontent with the world. But the only way to change that is not to change them, it's to accept them. To practice radical acceptance of ourselves, which will then become projected outwards towards others. We are all the children of the universe. Children. Nobody has reached that supercomputer level of understanding of how the universe fully works. We're all just 2% smarter than monkeys, thinking we're the best, and that we've got it all figured out, and that we know better for others. But knowing better means letting others be. If you want to fully understand human nature, just look around. It's on full display. In the media, in traffic, in our families and communities. Infinite potential for good, generosity, and selfless kindness, and cruelty, selfishness, and hatred. If we remain in a low level of consciousness, blaming others does not raise our consciousness, but accepting them does. Because through acceptance, we can witness with clarity. And with clarity, we can see without being blinded by rage. Acceptance in the spiritual sense is not the same as how we usually mean it day to day. It doesn't mean condoning. It doesn't mean encouraging. It doesn't mean becoming that which we accept. It just means the letting go of internal conflict, of judgment, and anger. It means seeing reality as it really is, instead of draining our mental energy by fighting it, resisting it, and trying futilely to control what is out of our control, and doing so in a way that only makes our goal of helping others awaken so much harder. It can also be tempting to look down on others, but we must recognize that ego within ourselves instead. Or else we will just keep getting entangled in other people's business, absorbing their state of mind instead of living above it all with higher consciousness. Staying on the path, walking that spiritual journey, means being present with every step, staying with your mind and body, staying focused on the ground beneath your feet. And whenever we are tempted to look down on others who may be a few steps behind us, means that we have gone off the path because we are not paying attention. And paying attention is how we expand our consciousness. The spiritual journey is a personal journey that benefits all living beings, but it is ultimately up to each of us to take that journey ourselves. Nobody can walk that path for you. And as much as we want to help, as much as we're overflowing with compassion, and we just want to lift someone up and carry them to the mountaintop, that is actually just going to weigh us down. We will not reach the mountaintop. And then we will not be able to tell anyone how great a view it was. We will not be able to wait at the top for them with a glass of organic Gatorade. If it feels lonely at the top, or even just near the top, which is very common and likely, the more we climb, the more we're able to see, the greater our consciousness, our awareness, and our perspective is. And we will actually be able to then meet anybody, wherever they are, with love and compassion, free from expectation and demands that we often place on others, which is not love, it's domination. We may be the benevolent king, but with true understanding, we see that everyone must be free to take that journey on their own, or else it's not freedom. We can just be like park rangers, standing near the trail with a smile, pointing the right way, but letting all the visitors have the choice whether to continue or go back. If we do so with a big smile and maybe a pitcher of lemonade, we'll get more visitors to the top. But there can never be disappointment if someone turns back. Not everyone is physically fit to climb a mountain, and not everyone is spiritually awakened enough to choose compassion and love over fear and division. But if we each work on ourselves, if we each focus on recognizing our own egos that are at play when we want to change others, if we recognize our own sense of pride and superiority when we judge situations and people, and when we truly see the oneness in everything, other people will see it too. This is how we change the world. We can change governments all we want, but we will still govern it from the state of consciousness that our world exists in today. It will only change from one corrupt government to another. The true revolution happens within. When we see reality as it is, we can clearly see the possibilities and potentials that we can manifest. Steve Jobs, who meticulously studied Zen Buddhism and Hinduism, and who went on his own spiritual journey, taking him through India and to meet spiritual teachers around the world, developed a concept that he called a reality distortion field. Steve Jobs refused to believe in limits, boundaries, or the impossible. And he believed it so strongly that when his workers, who didn't believe that they could build a personal computer that would be affordable, that could fit on a small desk and be made on these crazy tight timelines and deadlines, when they were around Steve Jobs, who believed that they could accomplish the impossible, the workers believed it too, and pulled off what they did not believe that they could pull off. If you came under Steve Jobs' reality distortion field, which could also be called a reality shaping field, because he's not really distorting reality, he is creating it through clarity and vision. And if you were in his presence, if you were in his orbit and got a sense of that belief, you could not help but see that future and make it happen. This is the power we all have when we do not succumb to the world as it is, and we stay where we know we need to be. We stay with that vision we have for ourselves and for the planet. We make that vision so clear and so bright that other people cannot help but be influenced. It's very easy to get bogged down in frustration and anger, but only through understanding can frustration dissolve, and only through love can there be understanding. If we scold, judge, or condemn, there can be no understanding. If we scold a child, they may act the way they think we want them to. But if we love them, they can open up to us. They can be real with us. They can show us who they truly are, and we can begin to understand them. And this is a far more profound transformation for sending a kid out into the world than simply forcing a behavior when the authority is around. Because fake respect, fawning, is not the same as genuine awakening, and it will only cause conflict and animosity. It can be very scary at first to look within instead of pointing fingers at others. But this is the most liberating and freeing thing we can do, because it means that we also are the solution to our problems. That we have total responsibility and control of what goes on inside of us. The day we want freedom is the day we look within and realize we have the power all along. It can be right now, the moment we drop the chains that other people, society, the world has around our ankles. You hold the keys. It's simply a matter of expanding our consciousness beyond the illusory, separate bodies, separate people, separate objects, and recognizing that universal consciousness that peers back at you through every living being, the same as the one that peers out through your eyes. To recognize the energy that flows and connects all things. And we do this two ways. Number one, in our daily lives, there are infinite reminders of separateness all around us. Our driver's license, our names, our job titles, and our bank accounts. But there are not many, if any, reminders of the oneness that is the truth that underlies this reality. And we need reminders of this oneness. Our eyes see separateness, but our hearts know oneness. So put up Post-it notes. Put the book, Aloneness to Oneness, on your nightstand. Or you can now even get the audiobook and listen a little every day, which is actually just recently launched on Amazon and Audible, which is full of reminders of the deeper reality going on just beneath the surface, because we are not actually seeing reality. Photons of light are coming into our eyes, creating a hallucination of reality. And we need to engage with this illusion so we can find food and a mate and satisfy those physical bodily needs. But we never need to lose focus of the truth, of those non-physical relationships, the energies we carry in between us, and the field of our mind, that field of consciousness that gives life to the universe. We are projecting the universe. We are each creators of the universe. We create our experience, just like Steve Jobs. The more we focus on other people and their field of thought and mind, the more we're simply giving our power away as creators of the universe to someone else and then complaining about it. Never forget, it is all you. Everywhere you look, it is your mind you are perceiving. That is science. Our mind is a universe simulator. We are not a slave to our conditions. We are the all-powerful creators. Anything is possible. So what will you create? Thank you so much for listening. And again, proud to announce that Aloneness to Oneness, 22 Life Lessons to Change the Way You See the World audiobook is out now on Amazon and Audible. Please check it out, and don't forget to leave a review, as it helps so many others find these life-changing teachings. Much love. You have been listening to Path to Peace with Todd Perlmutter. Being here and putting in this important and noble work is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself and others. If you found this podcast even a little helpful, please make sure to leave a review so it can reach others who may be in need. And remember, the path to peace starts with a single step.